Welcome to Microscope. I'm your host, Scope News Kernersville Editor-in-Chief, Chris Agee. Well, we've got a great show today, but first, this episode is brought to you by Scope News Kernersville. Stay up to date on the news and events that matter with a fresh, independent look at your hometown. Scope News Kernersville provides locally owned, award-winning news coverage you can trust. Check it out today at scopenewsonline.com and follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, or YouTube. All right, I'm very excited to have Cady Ray as our guest today. She is the Recreation Superintendent for Kernersville Parks and Recreation. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. So we are recording this in July, which happens to be Parks and Rec Month here in Kernersville. There was the proclamation at the Board of Aldermen meeting a couple of weeks ago, but I just wanted to find out how you all have been commemorating it. Are there been any big celebrations around your way?
Yeah, so honestly, things have been so busy around here. We actually haven't planned a specific event to celebrate the month, but it's really because, we came off two events in June. We had the big 4th of July event, another movie in the park event in July as well. We're actually operating our summer camp right now in our building, which if you're not familiar with our building, it's very small. So 30 kids running around here is a lot. You might hear them in the background at some point of this. And then, we're gearing up for the Honeybee Festival starting in March all the way to August. So every month kind of feels like Parks and Rec month to us. But I will say a huge shout out to Civic Federal Credit Union. They actually brought us breakfast today to celebrate us and, Parks and Rec month. And that was really cool because it's kind of like we kind of forget about it until someone reaches out. So that was probably the best part so far of the month.
Sure. So it's business as usual, but we all appreciate everything you do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always something going on. And like you mentioned, the next big Parks and Rec event is right around the corner. The Honeybee Festival is going to be August 17th this year?
Yes, August 17th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
All right, can you talk just briefly about how this, it's a honey-themed event. It gets a lot of attention every year. Can you tell me just a little bit about how it got started and why it's so popular?
Yeah, so back in, I believe it was like 1973, there was a Kernersville native. His name was Brady Mullinax. And he began the effort to distinguish the honeybee as our state insect. And so he went to Raleigh. He advocated, for this to happen. And essentially because of his efforts, that's how the honeybee became the North Carolina's official state insect. So I think, him being from Kernersville and all this happening back then, there were a lot of people who really wanted to celebrate this act and celebrate him for doing this because, as you may know, honeybees are so important to, a lot of the things that we do. And a lot of people don't even realize the impact they have. And so I think it was 1975 they started the first Kernersville Honeybee Festival. It started very, very small. I think it was just selling honey, whoever was there. Brady Mullinax had his own swarm of bees. I believe that he had his first swarm of bees at like age 9. So he had been, with a bee advocate for a lot of his life. And so it started out as a very small, thing focused on honey. I think over the years it started getting bigger to like craft vendors. And then at some point it was handed off to us to kind of make it and grow it bigger. I've been here for almost 7 years now, so obviously it's been a long time since that first one in 1975, but I think it's really crazy to hear the background to see where we are now with over 145 vendors, 8,000 people over the course of that day, and just the fact that it's grown so big, but we've made sure to stick to the roots and the most important part of, community, craft vendors and, of course, honey. So that's really important to us. So it's really cool to see where it started and where it is today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to catch it. This will be my third year here and my second time visiting 4th of July Park for the festival. And 4th of July Park has been, it's gone through a lot of significant upgrades recently to the
Yeah,
walkway, the playground, all that stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And Fourth of July's park is literally the only park we could do this in August. And the reason the event's in August is because August is like World Honeybee Month. Um, and so that's why it's in August. And as you know, it's really hot. So without those shade trees
yeah,
in Fourth of July Park, I really don't think we get the crowd that we get.
right.
Um, we owe a lot to those trees in the park. And yes, there have been a ton of updates, all very positive, but as you can imagine, super stressful for
Yeah,
an event organizer. I think people don't realize how difficult this event is to coordinate, especially with, the amount of vendors that we have. Walking along the path, every path is between a tree or over a tree root. And so placing spots, we have to take into account the roots that are there, the trees that are there. Is there enough space, where we typically put them? So the path expansion has been wonderful because you said you were there. It's really hard to walk through the
hmm
path. It's really crowded. So the expansion is going to be great for attendees. It'll be more spacious to walk. It's more accessible for people who may have wheelchairs or walkers. So it's going to be great, but it's also been really tough and still is kind of tough for me currently to really know what I'm working with layout wise.
Yeah.
So we're excited for them, but getting crunch time. It's getting closer and closer. So we're hoping to have it all finished in time to do everything we need to do for sure.
Yeah, good luck with that. And like we've talked about a few of the projects you have going on, but the biggest one is probably the Recreation and Event Center that's going up right now.
Yeah.
Um, I know the idea itself dates back several decades, but since the
Yes.
work's been going on, it looks like things are progressing pretty nicely. Are you still anticipating that programs will get started sometime around the first of next year?
Yes, that's the plan. And to be honest, like all of us are so busy, it's kind of like an out of sight, out of mind thing. When people
Yeah.
ask me about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that is coming. Like, because we really can't focus on that until we're actually like, okay, go move your stuff in. So for us, like, I don't think it'll really hit us until we're in, but the plan is still to start programming and taking like rentals and things like that at the beginning of 2025, so January. I know we would love to have like a grand opening ceremony or event early December, but it really just depends on the final day that they hand the building off to us, sign it off, the construction company. A lot of stuff's going into us having to move our stuff in. We can't all move at once, like with the computers and the IT side of things. We have to transition kind of periodically as a staff. We're training new staff, which is kind of new for us. We've wanted staff for so long. For me, like I've been wanting more full-time positions for the last 7 years. We're finally getting them. So like training them, making sure they are learning everything they need to know, because we really don't want to open it until we can offer 100% a quality experience. So that is still the plan, and hopefully a grand opening ceremony in early December.
All right, looking forward to that. And it's a huge project. I mean, I've seen some of the plans for it, and it looks like there's going to be a
Mhm.
lot more going on than just your typical rec center activities. Can you tell us just a little bit about some of the other things that you plan to use this facility for?
Yeah. So something we're really excited about is just, I don't know if you have been to our current building, if anyone has been off of Bodenhammer. We've been kind of, maxed out for a long time and very
hmm
limited in what we can add. And our goal is to provide things the community wants. And so when we don't have space to do that, it's frustrating because, we want to grow and we can't. So first, important thing is for the community, for us to have more than one room to offer programming or a fitness class. Summer camp spots for people with kids. So there's just so much we're excited for in that realm. More gym space so that we can, like, currently we have one gym. We want to have multiple gyms so that we can have an open gym consistently for people who just want to come in and shoot. But we also have gyms that are still reservable if there's like a practice or a league, and we don't have to, we can do both those things at one time now that we have more space. Tournaments, bringing tournaments into Kernersville, which gives back to the small businesses. It gives back to all businesses in the community. We're really excited about those for the weekend stuff. An indoor walking track, especially during the summer, it gets so hot. A place people can come to that they don't have to have a membership or pay to do it. They can just come check in with our front desk and get some exercise done during the day in an indoor walking track. So there's so many different things, but the goal is to find balance and giving stuff to the community, offering still those free things. Also doing, paid programming that benefits our local instructors who give back by an opportunity for people to like do a fitness class, an art class, things like that. But also to bring, some stuff to Kernersville to help us grow and to help the businesses here. So, we're just really excited, and we have to go step by step because there is a lot happening at once. So hopefully we'll do a good job of easing ourselves into this new future.
Yeah. Well, my wife has loved the Zumba classes that are at the existing
Oh,
facility.
great.
So she's definitely looking forward to the new digs. So I hope you will indulge me with just one more question. It's kind of out of left field, but I'm a
Yeah.
reporter, so I'm looking forward to the new spinoff of The Office that's supposed to take place at a
Mhm.
struggling newspaper. So I can kind of see how what their take is on my line of work. I have to ask you if you have ever watched Parks and Recreation.
I have.
Did it bear
Um,
any resemblance to reality?
it's funny because I was not a big Office fan. Like comedy shows like aren't really my thing. But when I started here, I felt like I should watch Parks and Recreation.
Right.
So a lot of us watched it as a group when I first came here, and I will say that it is very similar. I would probably say my first 3 years I was the carbon copy of Leslie Knope. Honestly, I mean, if you look at my office right now, there is so many holiday decorations. It's like overwhelming for the average person, but for me, it's just kind of how I am. So yes, in that regard, 100%. I probably would say, over the last couple of years, I got some Ron Swanson in me for sure. So like I understand each character's point of view now. It's so interesting, but I don't know if you've watched the whole thing, but
I
the
have.
Sister
Yeah.
City Association episode
Uh-huh.
was very accurate. Trying to make a park happen is really, really hard. Leslie Knope trying to turn that plot, that hole into a park.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny, but it is really hard to get a park built, believe it or not. So yes, definitely similarities. It was crazy to watch as a first time Parks and Rec worker back in the day. I was like, wow, someone who's worked in this field helped them with that show.
I'm sure.
So yeah, for sure.
All right. Cady Ray, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. There's always something going on at Kernersville Parks and Rec. You can find out all about it at kvparks.com. I'm Chris Agee, and I'll be back with another episode soon.